That right there, Surf City, USA, the world-famous Huntington Beach, California. And all those little humans, well, there's 250,000 of them. They've all come to witness the greatest event in all of professional surfing. Over the last 10 days, we've seen surfing's future stars as well as its legends, just hanging out, having a good time, celebrating the culture, having some fun in the sun. And oh yeah, looking for the big win. The world's very best, 128 men and the 18 best women. They've been doing battle, and today we culminate with what promises to be an amazing finals. This is the Nike US Open of Surfing, and you're watching the Red Bull Signature Series. Welcome to the birthplace of surfing on the West Coast, Huntington Beach, California. How's it going, everybody? I'm Sal Masakela, your host of the Red Bull Signature Series. You know, the Nike US Open of Surfing is the single biggest event in pro surfing all year long. Why? We see most surf competitions take place in exotic locations far away, but it's right here in Surf City, USA, where we have this makeshift city on the beach that fans can actually access both the action out in the water and get up close and personal with their favorite superstars on the world tour. It's also the only time on the tour where both the men and the women compete together, and that's a beautiful thing. And the U.S. being the amazing melting pot that it is, you have fans from around the world cheering for pro surfers from all their favorite countries. We've got the Brazilians, Australians, the Kiwis, Europeans, Hawaiians, and North Americans. Everybody is here. Now, what's at stake? Glory, prestige, being a local hero, a legend. World titles have even been established here at this event, the showcase in surfing. Who knows? We might see the future determined right here, right now. We're actually all set for our quarterfinals, so how about we check in with Alex Curry to see what's going down in the water. Alex?
Thanks, Sal. I'm here with Pat O'Connell, the contest director of Nike's US Open of Surfing. Now, Pat, as someone who's competed and seen this contest grow, can you give us a little background information on US Open of Surfing?
Well, there's a lot of background information. We started about 9 days ago, and it's crazy. We have junior women's, junior men's, women's world tour, and a prime men's that we have the top 10 surfers of the world here.
Now, why is this considered the biggest surfing event in the world?
Well, I think a lot has to do with Surf City. It's all in Huntington Beach, and you know, all the surfers love coming here because it's just so crazy, and it's the best fans in the world.
Thanks, Pat.
Thank you very much.
Now up to the guys in the booth.
Thank you, Alex. Sitting alongside me now is Sal Masakela, and today we have got some spectacular surfing ahead of us. We have made our way down to the men's quarterfinals. These will be 30-minute heats with the highest total of the best two waves advancing on. And as we take a look at the matchup, Sal, take us through the quarters.
The heaviest quarterfinal lineup in US Open history, and it's dominated by Brazilians. Felipe Toledo, who won the US Open Junior last year against Miguel Pupo. Kelly Slater going up against Dane Reynolds. Of note, Kelly Slater, 11-time world champion. Gabriel Medina against Adriano de Souza. And John Florence going up against the Australian Julian Wilson.
So talent abounds here in Huntington Beach, California. And let's get to our first matchup. This is heat number 1 in our quarterfinal round. Miguel Pupo, the 2011 Nike Lowers Pro champion, going head-to-head with 17-year-old Felipe Toledo. And Toledo, as Sal noted, the 2010 U.S. Open of Surfing Pro Junior champion.
Conditions challenging, and it's important for these guys to get busy early. And here we see Toledo up on his backhand. This thing's got a nice little pocket, and he kicks around a nice size backside reverse. We've been seeing him do that all week, Todd.
Meanwhile, outside, Miguel Pupo up and riding. Already has gotten 2 maneuvers in. This is the tail end of it, and he's trying to make a connection into the shore.
Well, here at Huntington, you get the outside, and then you look for a little bonus on the inside. Not much there, but he'll take that little turn. Some strong maneuvers on the outside that we'll show you.
So it's Brazilian versus Brazilian. As we go back and look at this replay one more time, Sal, Toledo got off on a nice first wave.
Indeed, you know, a nice maneuver for him. That wave had a nice pocket on it, and he was able to maximize it. Could have went a little bit higher, and here's what I'm talking about. You see here Miguel Pupo, a big frontside reverse, and you're gonna look for that tail to get really high. The higher the tail goes, the stronger the judges are gonna reward you, and you see at the end there, he capitalized on the inside.
Making the most of what Huntington Beach provides him, so Miguel Pupo on his opening score gets a 9.0. Remember, it's your 2 best waves. Meanwhile, Felipe Toledo already has 2 waves. He'd like to throw away that one, his second scoring wave, a 5.83, so he sits on a 6.83 right now. When we return, Sal Masekela sits down to talk with the most dominant figure in the history of surfing, Kelly Slater. This is the Nike U.S. Open of Surfing. You're watching the Red Bull Signature Series. Back in Huntington Beach, California, look at the Skate Bowl, and we'll be showing you all of the highlights from 2 skate contests, the Nike's Dam Am and Converse Coastal Carnage, a little bit later in the show. But now let's get back to our quarterfinal heat number 1. Miguel Pupo grabbed a 5.17 on a wave while we were away, and now Felipe needs an 8.35 Sal in order to advance to the semifinal round.
That's going to be a tall order in these conditions, but anything is possible. Both guys having a go on this wave. And we will go here with Miguel Pupo driving down the line, kicks that tail out towards the beach, a perfect frontside reverse for Miguel Pupo, really putting the period on that wave. And we'll pick up here on the other end. Here is Felipe Toledo. Nice little turn here on his backhand. He's setting up for something, looking for that reverse. Not enough. He goes down. That will not be a score, I think, that will get him in. But Miguel Pupo just taking advantage of that little section, standing up for him and kicking it to the beach.
And the horn sounds. Quarterfinal number 1 is going into the books, and Miguel and Felipe both better their scores, but it will be Pupo advancing to the semis, 14.57 to 8.83. And already warming up for our next heat is the defending champion, Kelly Slater.
In 1990, a relatively unknown kid from Florida was quietly attacking the circuit and determined to make his mark on pro surfing. His reign of world dominance now includes winning right here last year, and his performances in front of crowds like these over the years have helped to cement his legend status. Now, here we are 22 years later, and a record 11 world titles, and Kelly Slater shows no signs of slowing down. Had a chance to sit down with him and talk about what makes the Nike U.S. Open of Surfing and his interesting career so special.
Hey
everybody, Sal Masekela here with this guy, Kelly Slater. What is it about the U.S. Open of Surfing that keeps you coming back?
You know, I think the competition's a part of it, because if you look at the World Tour, we have 32 guys on tour, and something like 29, 30 of them are here. Obviously, it's got the greatest amount of prize money. We have to do 2 prime events throughout the year, and you have to do 1 in your region and 1 elsewhere. So why wouldn't you pick Huntington? Summertime, worst case scenario, you lose and you're in Southern California, so it's not that bad.
And best case scenario,
like last
year.
You go surfing for a week and you get 100 grand.
You talk about competing at this event 23 years ago at the age of 17, and it raises the question that you are still here at 40 years old and not just competing, but you still have chosen to and have the ability to progress your surfing. What do you attribute that to?
I don't party, I don't go out and I don't do drugs, I very rarely drink. I've taken good care of myself. I don't take many sort of useless risks, you know. Like, I mean, usually if I'm trying to stick big airs, it's usually in a heat. I think because of that, I haven't suffered too many big injuries. Beyond that, I think it's mental, you know. I've had that desire. I've still had the interest in the stoke of going surfing, and, you know, being able to translate that into learning more.
So who are the youngsters that you watch and you get fired up on right now?
I get really fired up on John and Dane. It's hard to pass up a guy like Gabe Medina and Miguel Pupo too, the two Brazilian kids that are just lighting it up. And
there are kids coming up now who, at 17, the age you were when you started to really blow up, are making money that you would have made your head spin.
If there are kids that are like young teenagers and making money, it would have made my head spin when I won the world title the first year. Way more than I was making.
What advice do you give to those kids?
Spend it.
Who have they have access to all sorts of opportunities to get into situations.
Yeah. If I was going to give advice to a kid, I'd say just, you know, don't take for granted what you have, and don't think about tonight, you know. Don't think about today. Think about tomorrow, and think about 5 years from now. And you got to have a goal, and you got to do what you can to be healthy physically and to enjoy your life.
Incredible insight into the mind of the world champ Kelly Slater. We'll have more with him later, but right now we get into Dane Reynolds going up against Kelly.
Reynolds, the 26-year-old from nearby Long Beach, California. It looks like Slater is lining himself up. He's going to strike first.
Well, this is what he's been doing for 22 years on tour, striking first. And you look at him, he surfs to what the wave is asking for. He didn't try and overpower it. That wave was a little bit soft. Got in a nice couple of turns to start things off. And you see Kelly here just waiting patiently, and then boom, just coils down and unwinds. One more, throws it straight up in there. 2 solid turns. Judges will like that.
So Slater snaps 2 off the top. He's rewarded with a 7-0. Remember, it's 2 scores. Combine your best 2 waves in this 30-minute heat. And we have yet to see Dane Reynolds. Now, Reynolds, he knows better than anyone. You do not want to get behind a guy like Kelly Slater and play catch-up.
You know, people write off Dane as not being competitive, but he's really shown that he's got what it takes this week as he kicks it around. A huge kicktail backside reverse, unable to make that. That would have been a big score for him. And then just like that, Kelly Slater, 40 years old, remember folks. Huge frontside reverse for Kelly, and he is really putting the screws to Dane early on in this heat.
A master of the Huntington Beach hop as he gets to the inside, racking up more points for the judges.
Well, you see here, he got behind this section, just waited and just kicked it around. Nice frontside reverse. Spots the landing, whips it around. Somehow or another, still able to find some more drive to look for that inside section. And Dane here, this would have been a huge score. Watch this, the way he ditches his tail around, unable to just catch up with his board and make that full rotation. A missed opportunity for Dane Reynolds.
So Slater now sitting on 15 points for his 2 waves. Unfortunately, Dane Reynolds in the blue is sitting on a 1.77. The time is now for him to go.
Well, with Dane Reynolds, it's either he puts up the biggest score of the event or he finds himself struggling. And sometimes in high-pressure situations, he's unable to make it happen. But a nice turn here for Dane to start things off. But that second turn just was behind that section. Kelly giving him a run.
We'll be back with more of the Nike US Open of Surfing. You're watching the Red Bull Signature Series. Welcome back to the Red Bull Signature Series. This is the Nike US Open of Surfing. And while we're away, Dane Reynolds has been pushing hard to post some high scores, but so far coming up short with only a minute left in the clock. Sal, he needs a combined 15.01 if he wants to move past the king, Kelly Slater.
And that, I can tell you, is going to be impossible. Kelly is going to win this heat. And you know the great thing about Dane Reynolds is he does not surf conservatively. It's what makes him the most progressive surfer in the world right now. As you see him there kicking around a nice, stylish slide reverse on that second turn, making his way here through the inside. Didn't work out for him in this heat, but when it comes together for him, it comes together big. Here you see this nice first turn that keeps him in the pocket, and he drives around in this inside section, kicks the tail around, nice little casual slide for Dane Reynolds. unable to make it happen all the way through to the inside, but a nice wave for him.
Mother Nature not providing a lot of opportunities for two of the best surfers in the world. Both surfers a little disappointed with the amount of waves coming through. But as the buzzer sounds, it will be Kelly Slater advancing to the semifinal round. Reynolds only manages 9.84, Slater 15 even. So semifinal number 1 is set. It will be Brazilian Miguel Pupo taking on the defending champion in American, Kelly Slater. But first, in quarterfinal number 3, this will be a good one. The Brazilians going head-to-head. Adriano de Souza takes on this year's winner of the Nike Lowers Pro, Gabriel Medina. Let's take a look back at Gabriel's path to the Golden Spike. Just 3 months ago, the legendary break that is lower trestles was firing. Over 5 days, the top world surfers competed head-to-head at the Nike Lowers Pro. North Shore native John Florence laid down a massive frontside air 540.
Yeah, popped it out to the flats.
Irishman Glenn Hall put in an impressive performance with a combination of power carving and strategy that took him all the way to his first finals appearance in a prime event. But in the end, no one could touch Gabriel Medina, part of the onslaught of fierce Brazilian competitors.
A fit move, he likes it.
Gabriel will take the only perfect 10 of the contest and celebrate victory with his fellow countrymen.
A performance for the ages.
And back here in Huntington Beach, California, the waves were perfect, the crowd was perfect, Sal, an amazing event.
Indeed, and Gabriel Medina really making the charge that he could be the first Brazilian world champion, and he is up and riding, doing what he did all week long, drawing first blood, kicks a nice frontside reverse there on that little inside section, and Adriano de Souza knows that Gabriel getting up and getting this wave first could spell trouble for him here in this quarterfinal.
Remember, Gabriel Medina is just 18 years of age. This kid has so much style.
You know, when you say that he's 18, it's hard to comprehend because he competes as if he was competing his whole life at a world tour level. Nothing phases this kid, and that spells trouble for his competitors.
6.50. Remember, it is 2 of your best waves in 30 minutes combined as we look out on the horizon here in Huntington Beach. Everyone's scanning and looking for those waves to come in. It looks like we've got something here cooking.
De Souza with priority. Gabriel's going to watch him and go right, and we will stay with Adriano. A nice first turn to start things off as he climbs up into the whitewater section here, looking to make his way into the inside. And it's an interesting heat because really Adriano has been the inspiration for all these young Brazilians like Medina and Pupo. Here he comes into the inside, a nice powerful hook turn for Adriano de Souza. Meanwhile, Gabriel Medina on his backhand, a backhand that he's been really working to improve on. Goes for a pop shove it there, doesn't make it, and we'll take a look from the other angle here at Adriano de Souza. 2 solid turns on not much of a wave, and he is stoked to be up on the board, and then milks it into the inside there with a nice, powerful turn up into the hook. A little Larry layback, we call it.
All right, as both surfers scan the horizon, there you see the score for Medina right now, sitting on an 8.17. It's your 2 best waves, and de Souza right now leading the way with a 10.87 as another set starts to roll in here at Huntington Beach.
And Medina gonna stroke into this one. Which direction will he go? He's going left, and that could mean trouble. Nice wrap around cutback here as he's driving into the inside. Look at the way he moves that board through that flat section and effortlessly pops off that frontside reverse. And he's made those tricks look as simple as a regular turn as he does a little disco dance 360 on the inside there. The other angle for Medina, a little foam climb here as he sets up this next section. Nice little cutback. You can see the ridges in the wave. Really challenging conditions right now in Huntington Beach. And then this is why Medina has been taking scalps all week long, effortlessly popping this frontside reverse, slides it back around. Medina, you can do those all day.
So right now, Gabriel Medina sitting on a 13.27. Waves starting to roll in now, and as the guys come to the end of this heat, we're going to see some serious scrambling. Medina to the left and de Souza to your right.
And they will split this one up again. We'll stick here with Medina. Huge backside reverse How he made that, I have no idea. And that is what is really so exciting about this kid. If he throws a maneuver, you can't look away. There's a strong chance that he's gonna make the impossible, and he just did it here in front of this Huntington Beach crowd.
And he gets to the inside for more points. Let's go back and look at this one more time.
This is really incredible, Todd. Look at him waiting patiently, and then somehow or another, he gets inverted on that reverse. We gotta look at it again because it barely makes any sense. Look at him here. Just throws that tail around. He gets a little off axis there. Lands tail first. You think he's going down? Nuh-uh. This is how Gabriel Medina has become a star. Meanwhile, over on this left, on his backhand, Adriano de Souza taking advantage of his power surfing. Nice first turn straight up into the hook and smashes this one. Two different styles of surfing, the power versus the progression.
And how about these scores coming down? De Souza getting a 9.43, taking his total to 16.13. But how about Medina? A perfect 10, his score now a 16.77. The Nike US Open of Surfing features not only the best of surf and skate, but 3 nights of spectacular concerts from Best Coast, Group Love, and TV on the radio. You're watching the Red Bull Signature Series.
Welcome back, everybody. You know, over the course of this event, over 1 million people have made their way to Surf City, USA to celebrate surfing culture and the best professional surfing that's happening on the planet. And you know what that means? There's lots to talk about. So why don't you get involved in the conversation by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and of course, you can go to redbullsignatureseries.com on your phone and get involved. We want to hear from you. Oh, what's that? You want some more good times? That's cool. Go to youtube.com/Redbull and check out my show, Travelin' Sal. We go behind the scenes of all the Red Bull Signature Series events, including the Nike US Open of Surfing. I'm biased, but it's pretty fun.
Well, the fun has been taking place all week long here at this massive venue, and while the surfing is the main event, some incredible skating has been taking place just behind us. Let's check in with Alex Curry for highlights from the Nike Dam Am and Converse Coastal Carnage.
The U.S. Open of Surfing is not only an iconic surf event, it's even more. A celebration of summer, music, and the SoCal lifestyle that also includes not just one, but 2 major skateboarding competitions, the Converse Coastal Carnage and the Nike Dam Am Huntington Beach.
Skateboarding came from surfing, and surfing now is taking from skateboarding, so having these 2 events right next to each other is pretty much, for me, the best of both worlds.
The Nike Dam Am Huntington Beach brought together 48 of the world's top amateur skaters on a custom-built street course, with the top 12 finishers qualifying for the prestigious Tampa Am this December.
The course is really good. It's like perfect. It's kind of similar to street spots.
Despite battling nausea throughout his run, Dylan Whitkin blew away the judges with his relentless performance to take the win. Congratulations. Now, what did it take for you to pull off and get that win?
I guess just like skate everything in the park, you know, just like try to hit every obstacle and just stay on your board and land what you gotta land.
The Best Trick Award went to Siva Walker for a 360 shove-it Smith grind down the hubba, which also earned him the right to skate alongside the Converse and Nike Pro teams in an hour-long demo on the same course.
I love seeing all the amazing skaters. I feed off of them. These people are just incredible skateboarders, so I just get inspired by that.
The pros went to battle at the redesigned Coastal Carnage Bowl, and the course with the famous shark bite lived up to its name.
It's kind of more of a snake run style than just a bowl, so you should skate with others in the bowl at the same time. Why not, right? Way more fun, crashes, better for the audience, more adrenaline.
The final jams featured a top lineup that included skateboarding legend Lance Mountain, last year's winner Tom Remillard, and reigning X Games champion Pedro Barros.
Some of these kids, they're ripping. They're skating tranny like they're 70 years old or something. Like it. Old souls, I like it.
Everything came down to the last jam, where local favorite Kern Capel secured 3rd, Ben Hatchell 2nd, and 2012 Converse Coastal Carnage champion Ben Rayborn. With 5 guys in the bowl, how much of your line is planned out and how much is just improv, trying not to run into each other?
We kind of have like an intro run, and I guess that's like a little planned out, but pretty much everything after that's like spontaneous because like everybody's dropping in and being all crazy, but it's cool.
Well, big congratulations.
Well, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
4 days of epic skating action were capped by the Coastal Carnage Best Trick Contest, with Aaron Jaws Hamoki taking first place.
So as we take a look at final results, Dylan Whitkin took top honors at the Nike Dam Am, followed by Oscar Meza and John Cosentino. And in the bowl, it was Curran Caples in third, Ben Hatchell in second, and congratulations again to Ben Rayborn for taking the win here at the 2012 Converse Coastal Carnage. Back now in our third quarterfinal heat, and this one is coming down to the wire. Even with his perfect 10 score, Sal, Gabriel leading only by .64.
And he knows that's not enough against his countryman, D'Souza. They're going to split the peak on this one. We will go left with Gabriel Medina driving down the line. Front side grab on that air reverse, whips it around, just casually wipes the water off his face and makes his way into this inside section. Gabriel Medina all week long will not be denied, puts a period on it on the inside. Strong showing for the 18-year-old.
All right, D'Souza also came on this one. He went off onto the right. Let's take a look at this one.
D'Souza's way of not offering the same type of section as Medina's, and he could only manage that small little frontside air, but look at Medina straight up out into the flats, gets that little grab in there all the way around. It makes it look so easy that he's just gonna shake his hair off to let you know how casual that was for him.
There you see the Brazilian flag featuring the national motto, Order and Progress, which is very fitting considering the progress we are seeing here from Medina. And look at that score, a 9.2. That's to go with his perfect 10, securing his place in the semifinals. So our semifinal round is shaping up very nicely. We'll have Miguel Pupo versus Kelly Slater and Gabriel Medina taking on the winner of our next heat. Right now, let's go down to Alex Curry, who is with Gabriel.
Gabriel, moving on to the semis, dominating that heat, coming out with a perfect 10, followed by a 9.2. Talk about how you were able to control and dominate that heat.
Yeah, that was a kind of tough heat against Adriano. He's a good surfer and he's too smart, so I knew that was going to be a tough heat, and I know that was fun. I got that 10, and I did a couple errors, and yeah, that was fun.
Now, going up against your fellow Brazilian, is there a little bit of a rivalry there to see who can stake the claim?
Yeah, I don't know, I was kind of sad because it's like two Brazilians in the same heat, you know, and I don't know, whatever, it's competition, sometimes it happens, and I know, just stoked to make through, and let's see what happens next round.
Well, congratulations and good luck in the semis.
Thanks.
All right, thank you, Alex. Our next matchup is already underway, and the winner of this heat, Sal, will determine who will take on Medina in the semifinals. In red, we have 19-year-old Hawaiian John Florence, currently ranked number 1, going up against the 14th ranked Julian Wilson. Let's learn a little bit more about the 23-year-old Aussie.
This is like the complete opposite to what I've grown up. You know, I grew up in a little town in Australia, a little coastal town, and this is completely opposite for me. This is the biggest surf event of the whole year, crowd-wise. Like, it's amazing, and that's what brings us all here. The strategies out here is you can't be too picky. You just want to, you know, you can get 8s, 9s on closeouts. You just be able to get a pump or two and do a big air. You just kind of got to accept the fact that there is so many people here and you just got to enjoy it. Past years it was a little overwhelming for me and felt a lot of pressure. You never really come here for the waves, but for the history of it and for the crowds that you get to surf in front of, it's one that I've really wanted to do well at.
And we'll see Julian Wilson when we return to the Nike US Open of Surfing. You're watching the Red Bull Signature Series. Back in Surf City, USA, Huntington Beach, California. Our quarterfinal action, that is John Florence going head-to-head with Julian Wilson. And right now, Wilson, Sal, is sitting on a 4.67.
Yes, he is. This really challenging heat for both these guys. Some long lulls and not that many opportunities. And Julian Wilson so far getting the best of it with this nice little front side reverse. Nice first turn here for John on this wave. You see this section standing up for him, but uncharacteristically, John with that foot slip, and he goes down on that second turn. That would have been really the difference in this heat. He'd be in the lead.
We're down to the final minutes in quarterfinal number 4, and it looks like John Florence, the young man from the North Shore, will get this one. He needs a big score here.
Well, he's capable in any type of conditions, even these soft conditions here. Nice first turn for John. A little foam climb here on that second turn. There's this wave not offering much opportunity, but John doing the best he can to get some points. Puts a little period on it there at the end. Those first 2 turns, though, not bad for what the wave offered. Taking another look here. John sets up this first turn really nice, and this next section able to put the board straight up on this little foam climb. John a great skateboarder and using it to skate his way through this little wave.
Well, more importantly, he picks up a decent score here, that 5.0. But remember our format, your best 2 waves in 30 minutes. So he's now sitting in first place with an 8.17. And with less than 90 seconds to go, Julian Wilson is in serious trouble here, Sal. He needs something big. He needs at least a 3.51, and that's not a huge score, but really no waves in sight.
You can see Julian standing up on his surfboard, trying to look out to the ocean to see if there's anything coming. He has priority. He just needs the ocean to give him an opportunity, but when the seconds are counting down, this is when you see what these guys are really made of, Todd.
Less than a minute to go. Wilson seeing something coming through. Now he's going to scramble for this one.
This wave, will it offer a little bump for him to get into it? You see him scrambling, paddling with all his might, and he is in. And a nice first turn to set things up. Now he has to be patient and see if this wave will allow him to do something on the inside. He's redirecting, and he's found a line. Here's Julian Wilson driving down. He needs a 3.51. Clicks a nice little frontside air into the flats. That was smart. Didn't try to do too much with it. And Todd, I think he might get the score.
Well, John Florence is left outside with 15 seconds remaining. May have left the door open just enough for Julian Wilson to sneak on in. As Sal pointed out, he just needed a 3.51, and with no waves in sight, Julian Wilson decides to bring it home.
Well, this is the type of focus that Julian has been showing all year, showing that he really wants to be considered a potential champion. That nice first turn there, a little foam climb, and he was really patient to work and see what this wave was going to do on the inside. And here he is, driving down on this right. He spots this little section, says, you know what, not going to do too much. Clicks a nice little frontside air into the flats, and all he needed was a 3.51, and he gets it.
So Julian Wilson is moving on into the Final Four as our semifinals are set. He gets an 8.44 to John Florence's 8.17. Wilson pulls a rabbit out of the hat with a little help from Mother Nature and will advance to the semifinals. And let's take a look at those semis. It will be the defending champion Kelly Slater taking on Brazilian Miguel Pupo. Julian Wilson taking on the 18-year-old phenom Gabriel Medina. Right now, let's go down to Alex Curry, who's with Julian.
All right, Julian, moving on to the semis with just 2 waves in that heat. Unfortunately, you kind of had a lull in the swell. What do you do with those kind of conditions?
Yeah, you definitely have to reevaluate. Going off the first 3 heats this morning, I was really looking forward to my heat, thinking we were going to get a lot of opportunities and we'd be able to get big scores too, because, you know, John can do it all, and I thought it was just going to be both of us just going to the air, but yeah, the waves really deteriorated and just got really slow, and someone sent me that little dribbly one right at the end. I just got the 3.7, and yeah, coming to the inside, I didn't know whether to do air reverse or a straight air, and it was a really dumpy little steep section. I just want to make sure I got the score, and it feels good to get through those close ones.
Well, congratulations and good luck in the semis.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Congratulations to Julian. Up next, it's the women's turn in the water as as we will have our first women's semifinals between Lakey Peterson and Malia Manuel, just two of the amazing women surfers on the tour this year.
Women's surfing has actually come a long way, and it's super exciting to see, you know, where the girls are going to take our sport in the future.
Kind of a younger generation came in that, you know, we're watching the Steph Gilmores and, you know, the Lane Beaches of the world and wanted to make it even better. So I think, you know, what's changing the sport is the younger girls who are coming in.
Our sport is changing in every way you can think, and the surfing, the performance-wise and sort of lifestyle-wise. I mean, we're different girls now, and we're paving a new path for what we want women's surfing to be and what we want it to come across as. So, I mean, women's surfing is exciting, and you should look out for it.
You know, the girls are really fired up, and we keep watching each other and pushing each other every wave, every surf, every heat, you know, every contest. And we're definitely taking inspiration from the guys. I mean, we're here watching, you know, Kelly and Dane surf this morning, as well as all the Brazilians, and they're getting in the air.
See more airs and girls trying bigger maneuvers, even if we're not, you know, some people might not be landing them quite yet. But, you know, in the next few years especially, you're going to see us start landing airs and, you know, really going in that direction. So I think it's really good.
I just started surfing for fun. It was something I got to do with my dad, and then over time I started competing, and I just really enjoyed it. And I think it was around 10 that I was like, Dad, I would love to be a professional surfer, and I would love this to be something that you do as a career. The interviews and the autograph signings and all that stuff, that's a part of the role, and I love it. I love meeting new people, inspiring people, and one of the spots I've grown up with, more and more little girls are surfing with me every day, so that's pretty darn cool.
We'll have much more of the Nike U.S. Open of Surfing and the Red Bull Signature Series. Welcome back to the Red Bull Signature Series. This is the Nike U.S. Open of Surfing. And we are semifinal number 1 of the women's competition. Lakey Peterson going head-to-head with Malia Manuel.
Well, Todd, Lakey Peterson won the junior event here last year and finished up runner-up in the pro, and she has been on fire all week. Really, really active. Nice 2 turns for her on the outside here, and then a nice bash on the inside, a score of a 7 for Lakey. Malia Manuel has won here as a pro and as a junior, but on this wave, coming unstuck, and that's uncharacteristic for her, especially on the road that she took to get here. And on this second wave, just unable to really find a good vertical section on the outside. She finds herself behind in this heat.
So Lakey Peterson now taking off on this, her second wave, needing something special here.
You see the way Lakey winds up and unloads on that first turn. Her backhand has been her strong suit all week long, and she tries to make her way here into this inside. But Lakey Peterson really solid looking, and you could tell by her body language she is stoked on that wave. We'll take a look at it from the other angle. This wave didn't really stand up as much as she wanted it to on the outside, but she still managed to get in a couple of good turns, and she's looking really lively on her board, finding speed here into this inside section, and then puts a nice little period smash at the end of the wave, and that's what gets you points.
So Lakey Peterson now sitting on a 15.77, so the 17-year-old from Santa Barbara, California, leading Malia Manuel. But here's Malia now scrambling for another wave.
Well, as I said earlier, Todd, she's won here before. She knows how to do it. A nice first turn for her on the outside. And look at how she's just going from rail to rail, able to find some speed here into this inside section, and a nice smash for her. You see that spray out the back. That's going to be a good score that'll put her in the lead.
So the young lady from Kauai on a good wave here. Is it enough to put her out front?
Well, I'd hate to be a judge. This first turn out the back, not the most solid, but this inside turn is the moneymaker as she punches the top of that lip and really makes the case that she should be in the lead.
And the judges respond with an 8.33. Good score, but not enough to put her in front. Right now, she's sitting on a 14.73 to Lakey's 15.77. And with less than a minute to go, it's going to be Lakey who's going to pick up another wave.
Indeed, and these lefts into the pier are where Lakey has been scoring points all week. 2 solid turns. That second one she really smashed, and now she's going to go back here into the inside and she could really seal the deal and make the case that this heat might be over.
The 17-year-old from Santa Barbara, California with a strong wave.
Well, look at this. She really loads up. You see she drops that front arm. Beautiful turn. And this second turn, well, you can see the spray out the back that says it all. She just smashes it. I like the way she's just really, really poised. Looks really strong on her board. All week long, Lakey has really been the standout.
And the scores coming down from the judges as the heat comes to an end. A perfect 10 for Lakey Peterson. So the 17-year-old from Santa Barbara, California with an 18.77, sealing the deal as she advances on to the finals, just outdistancing herself from Malia Manuel. Well, our next women's semifinal is getting underway. We have the 2010 U.S. Open of Surfing champion in Carissa Moore going head-to-head with the 2011 champ in Sally Fitzgibbons.
And Sally opens up with a nice sweeping carve back into the section. You see she gets really low on her board, has lots of power, and smashes one. And that's why Sally Fitzgibbons is the defending champ at this event. Look at this power, low and compact. Able to get back into the power section here on the inside of this wave, and to be able to surf with that much power in these conditions, impressive. And then this one right here just throws her board up there, chucks some water into the sky, and says, give me some points.
And she gets a 7.50, so a nice opening ride for Sally Fitzgibbons. Before we move on in this semifinal, let's go back and talk with our winner, Lakey Peterson, who's standing by with Alex Curry.
All right, Lakey, heading into the finals, pulling off a perfect 10. Can you take us through that heat?
Yeah, I'm so stoked on the 10. Half the heat we didn't really have the scores because the computers were down, so I wasn't sure what I got. But yeah, I was just trying to get two big maneuvers out the back. That's really what the judges were scoring high today, and I got a few waves, and my board felt really good. And yeah, I was just having a really fun time, and I was a little bit nervous in the beginning, and once I got a couple waves, though, I kind of mellowed out, and I'm excited going into the final. Getting a 10 always gives you a lot of confidence, so I know the judges are liking my surfing and liking what I'm doing, so that's a good feeling.
Now, unfortunately, we don't have the best conditions heading into the finals. What's your strategy with that?
Yeah, it's not the best conditions. There's definitely waves, though. It's fun. There's still a few out there. You just have to be really selective and maximize the best ones that come through. You got to make sure you're on the best waves. So, yeah, I'm going to give it my best shot, and I really, really want this, so we'll see how it goes.
Well, good luck out there.
Thank you.
Back in semifinal number 2, and once again, it looks like in the red, Sally Fitzgibbons, the Aussie, up and right in her backhand.
And she is staying busy. A nice turn to start things off. Perfect timing. And Sally, really athletic and really strong. She makes her way through to this inside. I bet the judges will give her a nice score for that first turn alone.
Remember her first wave, a 7.50, Sal, and this might be even better.
Yeah, that first turn alone, one of the best ones we've seen so far in the quarters from the ladies. And she's able to climb the foam ball on that second maneuver. But really all the work was done on the outside. It's going to be a good score.
And she picks up an 8.57. That takes her score to 16.07. We'll have more from this semifinal heat, as well as more of Sal's conversation with Kelly Slater when we return to the Nike U.S. Open of Surfing. You're watching the Red Bull Signature Series. Welcome back to the Nike U.S. Open of Surfing. And as remarkable as this spectacle is, it is only one of the events in the Red Bull Signature Series. Up next are two of the most prestigious freeride mountain biking events in the world, Joyride and Rampage.
We all want to come in and do well at this event. Guns a-blazing, everyone's here, all your friends, 20,000 spectators. It's the biggest event of the whole year.
It's all on the line. There's no holding back, and you got to go for it.
Even if I land sideways, I'm gonna hold on as hard as I can and make sure I can make it to the next jump.
You guys gotta watch this height right here. Look at that! Bam. What? Front flip Superman.
When you got all these people staring at you, you got one run to get it done.
Red Bull Joyride's like the pinnacle. It's like the thing everybody looks forward to, and it's like the biggest event, so I'm so stoked.
This is the biggest event in mountain biking.
I'd rather win Rampage than any other event. You have the ultimate venue, and you have the top 40 riders here to compete for the title.
That's mountain bike history right there. Biggest 3-drop ever done.
I'm so stoked to be part of an event like this that's, pushing mountain biking so far and pushing the limits each time it happens.
Looking forward to those events. Right now, back to semifinal surfing from Huntington Beach in the women's competition. Sally Fitzgibbons has a 16.07, and Carissa Moore's best wave so far, Sal, has been a 3.67. Just 2 minutes left on the clock, and yet another wave for the Aussie, Sally Fitzgibbons.
I wouldn't have predicted that the heat is going this way. Sally really taking it to the 2011 world champ. But remember, Sally is the defending champ of this event. This outside not offering a lot for her, but she's really staying busy, staying active, and she gets a nice little smash here on the inside, her reward for being patient. You see again here, doesn't try to do too much, just really going rail to rail, knowing that this inside section is going to stand up, and then right here, boom, just punches it, sticks that board straight up in the air. Don't know if it'll take out her high score, but a good solid score for her.
And the judges give her a 7.10, so she'll hold on to the 7.50 and the 8.57. Remember, it's a 30-minute heat. We only keep your 2 best scoring waves, and here is Carissa Moore. She needs to get busy in a hurry.
She's going to have to do real work, but remember I said she was the defending world champion. 2 nice turns, and you see that signature Carissa Moore speed, flow, and power. She's got it all, and that's going to be a good score for her in her scoreline. Right there down to the bottom and just whips that board up through the top. Another one into that top section. So fast she is. You see her working it rail to rail here on the inside, and a nice shot from the ski. And she punches it up into the foam ball, and that's going to be her highest score.
So time winding down, Carissa Moore has closed the gap just a little bit. She needs one more big scoring wave, and it looks like, Sal, she's in position to grab this one.
Well, she gets that 8.43, and look at her here on a right-hander. This would be the comeback of the women's event this week. She's driving down a line for something big here. Look at the focus of Carissa Moore, and she smashes that turn and makes it. Oh, Todd. That was amazing. Look at this turn. Kicks that tail out. I love how patient she was. She knew that she had to do something big in the end. You look at those fins sliding out of the top of the wave. The judges want to see that. That's a critical maneuver. It'll get a score.
And she does it, an 8.20. That puts her on top, 16.63 for Carissa Moore as the horn sounds. And just like that, those last 2 waves, Moore takes down Sally Fitzgibbons.
Sally owned this entire heat, but Carissa just took 2 minutes to take out the defending champ.
So the final is set. It will be an all-American affair as Carissa Moore goes head-to-head with Lakey Peterson. And now from a heat featuring 2 women's champions of the U.S. Open of Surfing, we get a great matchup between the Brazilian Miguel Pupo and American Kelly Slater. But first, let's hear more from Sal's conversation with last year's champion, Kelly Slater.
Is it strange to you that you're doing the best airs of your life at 40, and most of the time you're doing the best airs, like last year, some of the best airs you've ever done in your life, you did in your heats?
The last couple of days I was thinking about that a little bit, and I was pretty frustrated by it because, I'm thinking, why weren't we just doing that consistently when I was 20? I mean, we started doing air reverses. I think I did my first air reverse when I was 17. I feel like it kind of stalled out in a way, like through the 90s and stuff. Part of the reason was because we started going to like G-Land and Chopu and Cloudbreak. And
Waves of Consequence.
And Pipeline and Jeffreys Bay. And you're not going to focus on that type of surfing with those waves. So, there's a lot of criticism about going back to beach breaks and that sort of thing, but there's also a lot of criticism if people aren't throwing these big moves. So you're not going to be doing those big moves in big offshore barrels or big long walls at a point break. Now it's kind of come back, and maybe people want to point the fingers at the companies trying to get near the crowds and all that sort of stuff for contests, but there's an effect there because guys have been in such good waves for so long. There's a whole different sort of branch going off the tree that's really like Chippa Wilsons of the world, and those kind of guys who are, they're skating on a wave.
And how does that influence you?
I feel like I can learn things just watching. I can feel those things in my body, like I can feel the rotations and where you have to push and where you have to lift and all those sort of things. So, you know, I try to kind of just soak it in and learn by a visual feel.
How much longer do you think you want to do this at this level?
Another day or two. So at least, hopefully, till this weekend.
Last year, this time, you came in and you looked really, really focused and fired up. And after you won this event, you went on a bit of a tear that helped propel you to another world championship that at the beginning of the year you weren't looking for.
Well, at this point last year I was like 7th or 8th in the rating, so I dropped way down.
Right.
This year I skipped Brazil and dropped way down, and then won Fiji. So I have a first and a second already this year, so it's not bad for. I've surfed 3 events. I have first, second, and 5th, so it's a pretty good run.
You're the defending champion.
I know.
There's a target on your back. There's a bunch of young children out there who would like nothing more than to say, I took down Jimmy Slater at the US Open.
I'm gonna try to make that not happen.
That's what I'm talking about.
All right.
And there he is, the 11-time champion, Kelly Slater, at 40 years of age, set to paddle into his first wave here in semifinal number 1.
And Kelly finds a nice little running left-hander here, and this is just textbook Slater. 2 nice opening carves, and you see him weaving back and forth, really keeping that board on rail to find this inside section. So far, that's 5 turns here, and he's driving through this inside section looking for an air. Doesn't quite ride out of it, but all the work done on the outside. And take a look at Kelly. Look at the way he turns his hips and shoulders to the wave before the board. You see it here on this turn. This is signature Kelly Slater, and it allows him to just unload and punch this wave as hard as he can. And it's not even that really steep of a section, but you see this nice overhead shot from the pier of Kelly, just opening up and unloading on this wave. Some really nice turns. Driving here for this end section, doesn't really get the pop he wants to get a nice big backside air. And it'll be up to the judges to say if he rode out of it or not.
So they give him a 7.33, so the 40-year-old from Cocoa Beach, Florida is on the board. Now remember, Miguel Pupo already has a wave to his credit, and now he is looking for a second wave of this semifinal.
Well, on these lefts all week long, Miguel Pupo and Gabriel Medina have been the goofy foots that have been able to challenge the regular footers. And you see a nice sweeping cutback here from Pupo, trying to make his way into this inside section. He's driving, and you know what that means. Well, I didn't expect that. A big double grab frontside air. Thought he was gonna throw the reverse, but he threw that double grab like it was nothing. I like this first turn here, kicks the tail out here, and look at how he drives out into this flat part, redirects here, this little cutback, and he waits for this wave to stand up. He knows the section's gonna do something, stays patient, and here he is, just puts it in the 5th gear and clicks this big double grab frontside air and lets the crowd and the judges know it with the claim.
So Pupo putting pressure on Slater. That's an 8.83. His score now at 14.50. We'll have more of the Nike US Open of Surfing when we return to Huntington Beach, California. Welcome back to the Red Bull Signature Series. This is the Nike US Open of Surfing. The waves have just died down in this last heat, and we're in the final minutes. Kelly Slater in trouble. He needs at least a 7.18, and that would put him into the lead.
Todd, I've seen him come back with less time, needing more of a score. These are the moments that Kelly has lived for his entire career. You hear the crowd whistling. They've seen it done before right here. And Kelly kicks out a backside reverse. That wave was so flat, I don't even know how he whipped it around. Now into the inside section. He knows he just needs to put a big exclamation point for the score. Throws it up into the hook, and he goes down. Doesn't ride out of that. That's unbelievable, but this first move out the back could be enough. It's up to the judges. This was critical. The way he was able to recover right there, it's going to be in the hands of the judges.
Remember, he needed a 7.18, does not get it. So Slater now sitting on a 13.33 with just moments to go, and Miguel Pupo out back all by himself.
Well, you saw Kelly splashing that water. That's a signature that he is unhappy. And Pupo, not intimidated by the world champ. Two nice sweeping cutbacks here into the inside. He's looking lively. He's looking like he's feeling this. Driving again in high speed. And that is how you do it. You can see the emotion. He is feeling it. Nice big reverse. Here's a shot of his dad, Wagner Pupo, a former pro who works tirelessly coaching his son and shaping his boards. Those first few cutbacks setting him up to really drive down the line on this inside, and well, we've seen him do this all week long. You see that front foot slide forward so he can pivot around and say to the beach, yeah, I'm gonna beat the world champ.
So it's Miguel Pupo, the 20-year-old from Sao Paulo, Brazil, that moves on. He has punched his ticket, and he is now into the U.S. Open final, outdistancing himself by 3 points over the 11-time world champion, Kelly Slater. So as Pupo and his fellow Brazilians celebrate on the shores here at Huntington Beach, California, we send it right back out into the water, and this is another great matchup. Julian Wilson, who came from behind to get into the semifinals, will be going head-to-head with Gabriel Medina of Brazil. Now, Medina, this kid is somewhat of a prodigy at just 18 years of age, already up and riding.
And he has just been decimating the competition all week long. This is a kid who has shown he can surf in any conditions, and this is what he's been doing all week long, opening up first, and he likes to get started quickly. You see here, nice little foam climb here, setting himself up for this inside, and then this nice little wraparound turn, smashes it back into the white water, and then driving here, he's looking for the air, and that's settling for him. That was an amazing floater, but that was a settle for him for the maneuvers that we've been seeing from him this week.
The judges give him a 6.0, and while we wait for another set to roll in, let's go down to Alex Curry, who is with a very disappointed Kelly Slater.
So Kelly, you knew it was going to be tough. You said Pupo was a tough competitor. How disappointed are you that you're not able to defend your title?
It's all right. You know, I didn't feel like it wasn't coming together like my week anyways. You know, I just never had those high scores, and you know, I didn't feel even one heat really clicked for me this contest. So, you know, just kind of the way it goes sometimes. But you know, Miguel and Medina really, you know, every heat they've just been so consistent with throwing nines in every heat. So, you know, it's gonna be tough to beat that. You got to be at your total A game, and you know, these waves, for their style of surfing, this suits them more than anyone else. You know, this is their bread and butter right here. This is what they grow up in, and this is what they're best in. So, you know, if you can beat them out here, then you're kind of ahead of the curve. But just the way these waves are, you don't expect to be able to do that unless you get the right ones.
Thank you very much.
All right.
All right, thank you, Alex, and thank you, Kelly Slater. So the defending champion is out. While we're away, Julian picked up a 3.50, and here's Wilson once again on his front side.
And manages to push around a nice little frontside reverse on a really short section. Remember, Julian had that big comeback wave in the quarterfinals against John Florence. So as much as everyone's hyping Medina, you know, Julian is riding some momentum here. And the mere fact that he's able to click around this reverse on that little section shows that he's definitely feeling it. He pops off the lip right there, whips it around, and that's Julian Wilson.
Remember, it's a 30-minute heat. We're keeping your best two scores. Right now, Wilson, the Australian, sitting on an 8.50, and he's scrambling for another wave.
Well, he knows it's all about momentum, especially in these conditions where we've had the long lulls. And you can see Julian, he's looking good on this board, really working to make it to this inside section as he puts on the brakes to come into the power section here. Spins the board around varial, rides fakie, and comes back around switch. Would not have expected that on this section, but again, Julian Wilson clearly feeling it, and I like the way he did this work on the outside. You know, he didn't go for the hop, he stayed busy rail to rail, and right here, you see there, spins that board around, tail first, whips it back around, riding switch. He's gonna get a decent score.
Well, he picks up a 6.33, able to drop the 3.50, so now he's sitting on 11.33 to Medina's 6.0, and here comes Gabriel Medina.
Well, he hasn't been behind in the heat all week long, and that's why, because he can click off frontside reverses off his first turn like it's nothing. And now here he is driving to the inside, shooting the pier, Huntington style. The wave's not going to offer anything else. But look at this. Around this foam ball, a bottom turn, and boom. Finds that lip and pops a tail-high front reverse like it's nothing. There aren't a lot of people, Todd, who can do that maneuver off their first bottom turn. He does it all day long. This is going to put him back in the heat.
Not only in the heat, but in the lead, a 7.50. He's now sitting on a 13.50. Great surfing here today, but there's more to come when the Nike US Open of Surfing continues. You're watching the Red Bull Signature Series.
Welcome back to the Red Bull Signature Series. This is the Nike US Open of Surfing. You know, the popularity of surfing has really exploded in the past couple of decades due to fan accessibility via the internet. It's made surfing a big business with multi-million-dollar sponsorships at stake. Progression has also accelerated the sport at a dramatic rate because guys, they're doing big airs now. So now, like traditional sports, today's top competitors, they need any edge they can if they want to stay on top. And coaching has become not only commonplace, but a real necessity.
Surfers are definitely becoming more athletic. They're doing training in gyms now. They're learning how to do airs into foam pits. There's all kinds of things going on now in the sport where you're going to see more and more of that.
Picking the right surfboard for competitive surfers is one of the most important decisions that they're going to make. As a coach, we usually come down a few days before the contest, maybe even a week. The surfer usually has about 3 to 4 boards that they think are going to work good out here. So one of our jobs is to come, watch the surfers surf in the competition area before the contest starts, and really nitpick each surfboard and pick out the best one. A big part of the coaching is videoing the athletes and reviewing the video.
Video playback's like gigantic. We use it like constantly. I have a handheld I just run around with and film everything, film other guys and compare people to other people, and so much of it's where the hands are and stuff, and the minutia of leaning forward and back you can't really see in real time, so the video is like crucial.
Because it's so fast, you can float it and then keep going and make the next one.
At event coaching is more about strategy, what the ocean's doing, where to sit during their heats, how to kind of manage their heats. So it's a pretty full-time deal now, and you notice that a lot of the top guys now, it's almost becoming pretty standard to have a coach.
So Julian Wilson, the Australian, going head-to-head with the Brazilian Gabriel Medina. It has been close so far, but Julian needs a 7.18 to move on to the finals. There's less than 2 minutes remaining in this heat, and there is a set coming in right now.
And you can see the urgency that Gabriel Medina has here. He is going full tilt, paddling to get into position for this left-hander. Kicking and scratching, and he is up. Julian Wilson have the duck dive underneath him. And yeah, just gonna kick around a casual front reverse there for Gabriel Medina. That is what he does. A nice shot from the ski here. Let's see what he does on this last section. Slides around a little 360 reverse. That little check turn here, but look at how he sets up for this section, and he just finds the lip. And once he does, he has the power and athleticism to just pop around and do those reverses like it's nothing. You see the little 360 on the inside.
So Medina now sitting on a 14.37, and that shifts the onus to Julian Wilson. With time running out, Julian needs an 8.5 or better if he wants to move into the final. And how he's in position, it looks like he's going to make a mad scramble.
You see Gabriel going right off your screen, but here's Julian less than a minute to go, just like in the quarterfinals. Can he do it again?
Wow.
He does! An air backside reverse for Julian Wilson. As time is winding down, what about this inside section? He snaps another one up there, and you see that fist pump from the Australian. He is feeling like he's gonna get the score. And Todd, I gotta say, for him to be able to whip around that backside reverse, look at how he coils and just forces it around. Almost a full rotation.
So remember, all he needed was an 8.05, and he would take the lead with just moments to go. And the judges tabulating it. They're going to give him an 8.37, so he's done it. So once again, Julian Wilson comes from behind, and this time taking down the 18-year-old Brazilian phenom in Gabriel Medina. The final score, 14.70 to Medina's 14.37. So our men's final is set. It will be the Australian Julian Wilson going head-to-head against Miguel Pupo of Brazil. Right now, let's send it down to Alex Curry, who's with Julian Wilson.
All right, Julian, the comeback king. Back-to-back heats, you've come back with a wave in the last seconds. Take us through this last minute of the heat.
Yeah, my last 3 rounds have all been the same. I came back against Simpo, came back against John, and then came back against Medina just then, and they've all felt really sweet, but you know, I'd love to work on that first start of the heat, the first half of the heat, but those ones feel so much better than the easy ones. And you know, I had a bit of beef with Medina because he beat me last year in France in the World Tour final in like the last 30 seconds, and I just did it to him, so it feels sweet. That's 1-1.
Come back here in the finals?
I just want to start strong and go strong the whole way, yeah.
Well, good luck.
Thank you.
So the men's final is set. It will be Australian Julian Wilson going head-to-head with Brazil's Miguel Pupo. The women's final in the water, ready to go. In the blue, it will be the 19-year-old Carissa Moore from Honolulu, Hawaii, going head-to-head with Santa Barbara, California's Lakey Peterson, just 17 years of age, and Lakey Peterson will get the first wave.
The runner-up from last year's U.S. Open, starting things off with a nice turn, patiently waits to get around this section, and smashes that again as she redirects here into the inside section. Conditions have definitely deteriorated from what they were earlier today, but Lakey still making the best of it. Well, here's a nice shot of Lakey loading up to apply some torque into that first turn. Second turn here really is just a setup turn for this inside section, and a nice little floater to end things off. She's on the board.
So the score for the 17-year-old Lakey Peterson is 6.50 as she opens things up. This is the women's final here at the U.S. Open of Surfing from Huntington Beach, California. Carissa Moore now out the back looking for her first wave.
This is the last event on the Women's World Tour, and the 2010 World Champ Carissa Moore would like nothing more than to end it with a win, and she goes down on that second turn. Let's see what happened here. First turn, nice little setup. As you can see her setting up here, a lot of bumps in the face of this wave, and uncharacteristically, Carissa going down in that little foam section.
So she's got 2 wave scores. Remember, combine the 2 best waves of this heat, and that is your total. She's sitting at 5.50 to Lakey Peterson's 6.50. Peterson in the red, Moore in the blue, and it's going to be Peterson up and paddling.
And she has to be patient and redirect here as this wave not standing up the way she wanted to off the bat. A little floater turn to end it off, so not much of a wave there. Definitely not going to take out her first score. As you see, the wave never really stood up, but she does a good job to just stay on rail and try and find a section, and manages to fit in a little turn at the end.
So combined score now for Lakey Peterson is a 10.90. We'll have much more of the women's final when we return to Huntington Beach, California. You're watching the Nike U.S. Open of Surfing, the Red Bull Signature Series. Welcome back to the Red Bull Signature Series. This is the Nike U.S. Open of Surfing. And while we're away, Mother Nature has not been sending waves California's way, as Carissa still needs a 7.57 to win, and time, Sal, is running out for Carissa Moore.
Indeed, and these girls really struggling on these last bits of this dying swell that we've had all week long. Carissa up and riding, but goes down yet again on that end section. And in these conditions, it's really all about timing. And Carissa just mistimes this section and goes down.
Well, she needed a 7.57 to take the lead, and really hardly any time left. Now remember, Carissa Moore is trailing Lakey Peterson, and Peterson has the highest score and has priority. So strategy now coming into play, Sal, as she's going to stay as close as she can to Carissa Moore, basically blocking her and keeping her from getting waves.
Well, she saw what Carissa did with that comeback against Sally Fitzgibbon. She doesn't want it to happen to her. Here's Carissa, what she got here for this end bit. A nice little turn with 36 seconds to go. She has this floater here on the outside, airdrops, and then puts up a nice turn to end it. I don't think it's going to be the score that she needs.
And she picks up a 5.17, so an 8.64. Carissa Moore still trailing Lakey Peterson in the red, and now Peterson is just going to sit on here, and Peterson's going to grab the last wave, and this will pretty much do it.
The 17-year-old unintimidated by the former world champion Carissa Moore. There you see her family celebrating. Lakey Peterson is stoked, and I can tell you right now, this moment marks the time that you'll remember that Lakey Peterson became a star in women's surfing. She's the champion this year.
So as Lakey Peterson celebrates with friends and family, it's now time to take a look at our Casio G1 Commando Stomp moment of the day. '17-year-old Lakey Peterson puts her name in the history books with her first ever win at the U.S. Open of Surfing. As time ticked down in the semifinal round, Lakey secured her place in the finals by powering out a perfect 10-point wave. So Lakey Peterson, congratulations for taking the win and taking the Casio G1 Commando Stomp moment of the day. So the women's competition comes to a conclusion, and Lakey Peterson is your 2012 Nike U.S. Open of Surfing champion. She is now down on the beach standing by with our Alex Curry.
All right, Lakey, congratulations for taking home the title, winning the last stop on the tour. Now, is this a little redemption from getting second in the main event last year?
Yeah, I definitely wanted to go one better, and I knew I had it in me somewhere, and so I'm so stoked to win and go one better than last year, and I'm just so blessed, and all the glory to God, and it's just been an amazing event for me. So.
How does it feel to be a champion?
Feels really good to be a champion. I mean, I've had a lot of ups and downs this year, and to finally have all that hard work and dedication pay off is really rewarding. So.
And what's it like being carried up the beach as a champion, board in the air, everyone cheering for you? Take us through that.
Yeah, it's just as amazing as it looks, for sure. There's so many people down here, and support's been amazing, and thanks to the whole crowd and my family. I don't get to see them that often. They're all here, and so it's been unbelievable, for sure.
Big win. Congratulations again.
Thank you so much.
We'll have the men's final when we return to Huntington Beach, California. You're watching the Red Bull Signature Series.
Welcome back to the Red Bull Signature Series. This is the Nike U.S. Open of Surfing. Surfing's come a long way from getting up early in the morning, walking down to the beach, and checking the conditions. Today, due to state-of-the-art technology, including satellite imagery that tracks swells that start across the ocean thousands of miles away, websites actually update surfers around the clock as to exactly when the next swell is going to hit their local break. One of these premier forecasters is called surfline.com, and they're actually based right across the street. So we sent Alex Curry into their offices to see exactly what they do at work.
We're here with Kevin Wallace, the man behind the Surfline forecast. Now, Kevin, can you explain exactly what you do here at Surfline?
Sure, I'm the chief Pacific forecaster here at surfline.com, and basically we just forecast waves.
And what does the process entail forecasting the waves all around the world?
Well, it's fairly simple in a complicated way, I guess. We've got what we're looking for are storms out in the middle of the ocean, and kind of the general rule of thumb is the bigger the storm, the stronger they are, and the longer they last, the bigger the waves can be for your spot.
Let's start with the map. What do all the colors mean?
Colors represent different wave heights in the ocean. In this case, it's the South Pacific. So you like to see the reds and the purples. That means really big wave heights within a storm down somewhere in the South Pacific Ocean or any ocean in the world. We potentially have a big swell coming somewhere down the line. So we like to see those big purple blobs because that's when we get big surf.
Okay, so we got the map, now the charts. Explain these bad boys.
Yeah, so we've got our chart here, and that's actually telling us what the surf's going to be like at a particular spot. So if you want to look and see what the surf's going to be like at the Huntington Beach Pier, you can log on to this page and say, oh, it's going to be 4 to 5 feet today or 3 to 4 feet tomorrow. So that's kind of what you're looking at right there.
So we talked to a couple surfers, and they said Surfline is an essential tool to find where the best waves are around the world. But how easy is it for the average surfer to connect with Surfline?
We've got a mobile app, and you can get a surf report, you can get a forecast, you can get live streaming high-definition cameras all on your phone.
So we pull it up, Surfline, and everything here you kind of can just get right here.
Absolutely, yeah. If you want to know what the surf's like right now, you can have a look at the camera, you can look at the report. If you want to know what it's going to be like a week from now, you can get a forecast for wherever you are in the world.
That's easy enough.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you very much, Alex. Well, our men's final is ready to go. Julian Wilson and Miguel Pupo going head-to-head. Now, Miguel has laid down a 4.17, and Julian is going to take this next wave in perfect position.
Indeed, Julian does look set up nicely for this left-hander. A nice sweeping smash turn and bashes that second turn. Julian looking lively and intent here to open his account in the final.
The 23-year-old out of Queensland, Australia, going head-to-head with a 20-year-old Miguel Pupo of Brazil.
Let's take a look at this first sweeping speed turn from Julian Wilson. It really sets him up for the second maneuver. You see here how he does a mid-face bottom turn right after that turn and then just smashes his board straight up into the top. Solid surfing from Julian Wilson.
So he is sitting on a 9.13. Remember, we take your two best scoring waves, and the man with the highest score will be our champion. On the outside is the 20-year-old from São Paulo, Brazil, Miguel Pupo, left all alone.
Well, look for a second there like he might not catch that wave. You saw Julian turning for it, but Miguel, two quick turns through the top here, and now he's going to wait and see if he can get something going on this inside section. And with the knowledge of Julian Wilson's 9.13, Miguel knows he needs to do some work, and he tries to do too much there on the inside. But this first turn, nice little snap. Second one, not so bad. He never really found a place to really get some open face, and again, tried to do too much on the inside.
So combined score for Pupo right now, he is sitting on 10 points even. Remember, Julian Wilson on one wave sitting on a 9.13, and now Julian Wilson left out and a nice wave coming through for him.
Feel the rhythm, feel the vibe. That first turn, a solid one for Julian, and this board looks really good under his feet, Todd. He's able to make these sections, and he's really poised and relaxed. You can tell he's not trying to over-surf these waves. He's just trying to do what he can with what he's being given. Managed to fit in that nice turn there. I like the way he got around the section. You see him pumping, trying to find some open face. Not a lot to this wave, but he did what he could.
So there's the scene here in Huntington Beach, California. You're watching the Nike U.S. Open of Surfing. This is the final. Julian Wilson now sitting on a 16.63. Miguel Pupo in position to pick up his third wave.
And you see the warbles and lines in the face of this wave as this high tide has picked up with the wind. And Pupo answers back and answers back strong. A big front reverse there on that end section. Crowd really loving when they come up victorious out of the whitewater. And you see the claim, you see the emotion. Let's take a look at this again. Notice how he puts his board up there, sends the nose towards the beach, slides that front foot forward. Right here, you think he would have gone down, but he uses that whitewater to reverse right back up. Another look from the ski cam, and it really gives you perspective of how difficult and critical in that section that maneuver was.
Pupo back in the running now with a 14.76. We'll wrap up the Nike U.S. Open of Surfing when we return to Surf City, USA, Huntington Beach, California. You're watching the Red Bull Signature Series. Welcome back to the Red Bull Signature Series from Huntington Beach, California. This is the Nike U.S. Open of Surfing. And before we get back to our men's final between Julian Wilson and Miguel Pupo, let's get caught up with an X-Fighters World Tour.
Now in its 12th year, the X-Fighters World Tour is the mother of all freestyle motocross competitions. Look at this, wow! And the 2012 tour kicked off on the glittering shores of Dubai. New Zealand's Levi Sherwood confirmed his nickname, the Rubber Kid, with unrivaled fluidity and extension. second stop of the World Tour, Southern California, and Todd Potter's first ever X-Fighters victory launched him to the top of the points race. In Madrid, the Spaniards went crazy for their hometown hero, Danny Torres, as well as Tomás Pages, landing his trick, the special flip. Danny Torres made it to the final, but was overthrown by Levi Sherwood, who catapulted himself to the top of the point standings. Now, with only 2 stops remaining, the competition intensifies. The Red Bull X-Fighters World Tour culminates with an epic finale in Sydney, Australia. But first, we travel to Munich, Germany for the debut at Olympic Stadium. Don't miss X-Fighters Munich, airing September 25th on the NBC Sports Network.
Can't wait for the X-Fighters Munich, and I can't wait for the rest of this men's final. All right, here's the situation. Julian Wilson leads with just minutes to go. Miguel Pupo of Brazil, he needs a 7.71. If he can get that, he will be this year's champion. But again, we are down to less than 2 minutes.
This is put up or shut up time for Miguel Pupo. What's he got? Floats a nice big frontside reverse, manages to hold on, looking to make his way into the inside as this wave not standing up. As we take a look at this section again, it was really barely a wave, but Miguel managing to send as solid a frontside reverse as he could on that wave. But Todd, I don't think it's gonna be the score. We'll take another look at it. Really good one, tail high, but that wave just didn't allow him to send it as big as he would have wanted to.
He needed a 7.71. Pupo's not going to get it, a 4.93, so he is sitting on a 14.76 total score. More importantly, Julian Wilson is in position, he has priority, and he has the lead with 30 seconds remaining.
Well, we saw Julian in the quarters and the semifinals have to come from behind, and this time he said, I am going to dictate this heat, dictate the tempo, and you can see it right there. Julian Wilson fully realizing that he is the 2012 Nike US Open of Surfing champion, and what a great campaign for this kid all week long. And also, I mean, Miguel Pupo, he ripped all week, but really today, it was Julian's day.
He came from behind in the quarters and in the semis, and Julian Wilson, the Australian, reigns supreme here in Huntington Beach, California. When we return, we'll talk to our champion. This is the Nike US Open of Surfing. You're watching the Red Bull Signature Series. Back in Huntington Beach, California, as we take a look at the final results, defending champion Kelly Slater and Gabriel Medina tied for third. Miguel Pupo is your runner-up. Right now, let's go down to our champion, who's with Alex Curry.
All right, Julian, what a battle to the end. How important was it to get that early lead?
Yeah, like I told you before that heat, I wanted to get a good start, and I got a good start. And, you know, I got a lot of respect for Miguel, and I knew he would come back, and he was just hunting those left-handers, and he's got those air reverses on lock. So he got an 8.93, and he was right back in the heat. So it was an exciting final, and, yeah, I'm just really, really happy.
Was there any point during that heat that you got nervous and thought you needed to get another big score?
Just after Miguel got that 8.93, it was kind of a hard position to be in because I didn't know whether to keep attacking or, you know, kind of defend first. And yeah, I just tried to put a bit of pressure on him. He made a couple mistakes. I had an air over by the pier that I fell off on, and maybe a little nerves, but that probably would have clinched the heat for me. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm talking 100 miles an hour, and I'm just really happy.
So how's it feel to be champ right now?
Yeah, it feels amazing. It's like I've always dreamt of doing well at this event, and I'm really, really happy. Yeah.
Well, big congratulations. Great job out there.
Thanks a lot.
A great day of surfing here at a great event all week long. Congratulations again to Julian Wilson for taking the win and the Red Bull signature moment. In semifinal heat number 2, Julian Wilson trailed Gabriel Medina by 8 points with under 2 minutes to go. Julian, searching for a wave, found a piece of old-school Aussie good luck just floating by. He grabbed the wave, posted an 8.37 with a backside air reverse, and edged out Medina to earn a spot in the US Open final.
2 minutes left in that heat when I needed that 8, and a big piece of rubbish kind of like floated by me, and I just grabbed it and I just shoved it in my wetsuit, and I was like, here's my good luck. And then next wave I got the 8.9 and made the heat. You know, aside from the money and everything, it's like I feel like I set out to achieve this, and achieving it feels really, really cool. It was a big week. It's the biggest event of the year, and it's a Nike event. It feels amazing.
And that's your signature moment. Right now, let's throw it down, or should I say up, to Sal Masekela.
This is just another one of those times where I have to say I love my job. The Nike US Open of Surfing proving once again that it is the showcase for the progression of pro surfing. The Red Bull Signature Series continues with X-Fighters Munich on September 25th on the NBC Sports Network, and then catch Joyride on October 6th right here on NBC. Thanks again for hanging out with us today, and of course, thanks to our friends from the Zeppelin Airship Eureka for letting us fly around. On behalf of the NBC Sports Network and Todd Harris and Alex Curry, I'm Sal Masekela, and I will see you guys next time.